Well, look at what popped out right at the top. Manchester United versus Leicester City. Interesting ones for Exeter, home to Nottingham Forest, who are flying so well. Brighton Chelsea, all Premier League game there. And Frank Lampard's Coventry play Ipswich Town. Elsewhere, some Alan smiling in the back of the studio. Birmingham Newcastle fancies his chances. Plymouth Liverpool, that's an attractive game. Villa Spurs, real tough Premier League game there. Oriental Derby against Manchester City. Both those sides would love to play against the defending Premier League champions. We're going to carry on iPlayer for all the analysis of this game, but final thoughts first on. It's a big result for Manchester United. That deserve a lot of credit, because you've got to remember they played much of that game with just 10 men. Yeah,
I think for their confidence, I said before about the manager mentioning their commitment to it. I think they've shown that now. I think the fact that they're not rotating as much as usual. When Amorim first come in, there was changing all sorts of different positions, sort of knowing who he could trust within the team. But now they look like a side that they've got loads more to improve on in terms of going forward. But as a structure, when they're going to that 5, they look real secure, and he'll be happy with that at least.
Yeah. Theo, on Arsenal, what do you think?
I mean, it's like everyone else has said before. You know, Arsenal probably need a striker at this moment in time, because it would have been a completely different story, I feel, and even the season itself. But that's where it is right now for me.
OK, for now, gents, don't forget to press your red button to join us on iPlayer next for more post-match reaction. But that's it on BBC One. Manchester United won on penalties. The hero, Bayern D'Or, an early contender for the Ballon d'Or.
Let's be positive, eh?
Let's be positive. It's been mostly Arsenal in possession, with Manchester United cautiously waiting for a counter-attacking possibility.
Probing, I would say, the word I would use. I think from Man United's point of view, they're playing the game how they would see the game going on. I think Arsenal at home, the onus of them to have the possession and try to break them down. You asked me about the system and whether it can be pros and cons. In a 5 Man United are playing, Arsenal just can't break them down, so it's worked for them defensively. Offensively, not that great. Obviously, just trying to get a goal on a counter-attack. But Arsenal need to do more. They need to do more in them areas. When Odegaard's getting in the half space, or when Martinelli's running through, they're just a little bit flat, and that's how the game's been.
It seems that way. No shots on target for Arsenal in that first half. We'll look at the disallowed goal shortly, of course, but it seems like it's a game that we've seen before from Arsenal a little bit, against teams that sit, you know, they recycle the ball, they knock it around, they play neat and tidy, but where's the killer?
Well, the killer, people taking responsibility. They're not a player in that starting lineup at this moment in time who wants to go away from a system of playing in certain patterns. And like I said before the game, the best way to break down this United team at this moment in time, when they're out of position. And there's just elements at times when they're just holding on it too long, taking too many touches, keeping the ball, because they're trying to tie United, but that's not going to break this system down, because they're smart, they're regimented, they want to work for each other. Yeah. And Arsenal aren't great at creating chances in the forward line at this moment in time. It's all about set pieces, as we always talk about.
Maybe it looks like Manchester United are starting to understand this system a little better.
Well, any system takes time. I know Amorim was set on playing 3-4-3. Obviously, the results against Man City and against Liverpool give him a little bit of confidence, and I think just that consistency in selection, you know, not made many subs, and they're getting used to it. I think, yes, it's easy to say park the bus, but you've still got to be concentrated when you're in them positions, and I think for Man United, they've really done that today.
Yeah, let's have a look at the disallowed goal from Martinelli. I'll read the laws out to you, because they're a little bit ambiguous, but I mean, they will say there's not control, basically, from here.
I mean, you're a striker, Theo.
Yeah, look, originally it's, you know, Odegaard gets in a great position, but Martinelli's obviously mistimed this run completely, but the ball initially wants to go to Havertz. But Maguire, you cannot, of course, sort his feet out. Yeah. I mean, even Martinelli doesn't expect the ball. It's uncontrolled from Maguire.
Yeah. We normally see those as giving offside.
Yes, look.
But the rules, and it's a little bit difficult to understand.
Well,
because
the reason is they've made life complicated for themselves, as
Correct.
is always the case nowadays, particularly we've seen the handball law and even the offside law on this. Now, we understand why they're given that, because Maguire was not in control of the ball, but you could argue, of course, that he should have been.
Yeah.
Let's have another look at it. Here are the 4 things now about when a player is uncontrolled. The ball travelled from short distance, or the player doesn't have a clear view of it. Obviously, neither of those apply. The ball was moving quickly. Well, it wasn't. The direction of the ball was unexpected. It wasn't. And the player had limited or no time to coordinate their body movement. You could possibly make an argument on that. But we understand why it's not given. Now, why don't they just say all deflections in those circumstances
it'd be easier, wouldn't it?
are offside?
Yeah.
Rather than this ambiguous nature, uncontrolled, controlled, and all that. So it
But how can you tell if someone's controlled or uncontrolled?
Well, it's subjective, ultimately.
Correct.
It's subjective. But we're not saying it was offside, and it should have been offside.
Yeah, correct.
Under any laws, I think. Martin Odegaard has.
Yeah.
He's pushed and probed, hasn't he? He's the one player that looks like he might open the can.
Yeah, I think when you're watching Arsenal, you're looking for someone to unlock that door. And there's a system, Man United were 5, the 2 number 10s are making a 4 in midfield. And he's the one who's trying to open up. But the movement in front of him, everything's just a little bit too slow. It's giving Man United time to get set, and they can deal with this all day long. He's the one who always looks to get into his position, with Skelly coming into midfield, making it very difficult, and just getting on the ball on the half turn. But everything, again, is just too slow. You in this position as a winger or forward, you want the ball played quicker. Everything is just in United's favour at this moment in time. It allows them to get set, cross into the box, and they can deal with it. But you really wanted to look at this next example here.
Yeah, this is the example here. When a player has space, you got to realise that you got to have make runs in behind. I just think initially he could have played it sooner, but as soon as it's too late, he needs to go out wide, of course, here.
To the left, yeah.
But this is the point of Arsenal at the moment in time. They haven't got players that can carry the ball and be up with these players. But yeah, one more through the lines here. It gets in a good position. Maguire doesn't ever want to go in that position at any point, but then you need the runners in behind. But when there's a player of time on the ball, runs in behind, disrupt the team, unbalance the team. But Man United are so set in their ways. Look how many bodies are around them right now. They can deal with this.
Yeah, when they are set like that, what should they do?
Well, like I say, when you're out of position, this is where they need to play differently and try and allow Man United to come up the field to try and win the ball higher. But obviously Man United are expecting Arsenal to have the ball, so just say, you keep it here, we know we're doing the right things. Exactly that. Yeah. So it's a very unusual game, but Man United, they're growing more into this game as the longer it goes in.
They've obviously got Saka out at the moment.
Ranieri as well.
And Ranieri. And now Jesus. That I'm a little bit worried about this one, because there were 2 instances. The first one, we thought, he's been elbowed, but then he went down holding his knee. Maybe he fell awkwardly. I hope it's not a serious one, but you often see those funny landings. I don't want to say it's a serious injury, but I do worry a little bit, because a few minutes later, of course.
Yeah, I think it's because of knee injuries before as well. You're always worried a little bit, and having to come off. It can't be great, but I talked about before the game, the effort he puts in for the team. It was a foul. It wasn't given, but his arm goes up straight away, and then just look at the reaction of Fernandes.
It should have been a foul, but the knee again, you see, he's landed awkward.
Yeah, I think actually
I worry
he
about
wasn't
that.
really running comfortably in the first place, but you can see how Fernandes thought it was a foul. That's his style for you, and he obviously gets his booking from that. Hopefully he's going to be back soon, but it does not look good.
Does something like that with Jesus being stretchered off there, and obviously Saka out for a while as well, do you think this forces them perhaps to make a signing in this window?
Well, look,
in those positions, they've got obviously Sterling's coming on, who's a...
Yeah, but Raheem Sterling's not played for a long period of time, and it's hard as a player. You've been there. If you haven't played for a period of time, it's hard to obviously get up to scraps, but. I mean, being in the Arsenal setup and seeing the fans and speaking to them, look, they want to see players, they want to see signings. The player, obviously, Isak the other day, it's a big signing, but look, they're not going to expect that in January.
Fans always do.
They always do, and I'm one of them. So let's see. But look, it's a big ask, especially in January.
Okay, 9-0 after 90 minutes was a great effort. And obviously, this time last year, they would have had a replay at the Tottenham Hotspur
Yeah,
Stadium.
no,
Shame.
devastating for them, but obviously a great day for them. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it over the line in the end, but just looking at that plastic pitch was hurting my knees. I don't know about you.
They'll feel that tomorrow.
I mean,
They'll feel that tomorrow.